It's Ant here, and today we're going to learn how to use the scientific method with ants. Okay, step one is going to be observe. We can observe that there is a very large ant colony here. It is in fact so large that if I wanted to, I could fit fingers in there. I'm not gonna. That sounds like a terrible idea. This leads us to step two, which is question. And I am going to ask the question, how do I deter these ants from this area? How do I get them to leave? Next is going to be research. We're going to do a little bit of research to see, are there any known tried and true methods? Of course, there are plenty. We could use poisons or other materials. However, I'm attempting to discover a different way of dealing with them. One that perhaps is a little more natural and might involve recycling, which leads us to our hypothesis step. I found information about caffeine being used as a natural pesticide. Caffeine is a naturally evolved pesticide. It is known for keeping away a variety of insects. I hypothesize that with the correct amount of coffee, grounds, I should be able to discourage these ants from continuing to build in this area. Because I believe the ants will dislike the caffeine. Now it's time for the fun part. Because now we get to experiment. Now I would like to start with a weaker concentration of caffeine and move our way up. So I'm going to start with used coffee grounds. And we have about a cup and a half of used coffee grounds. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply the entire amount to the ant mound. And just drop it on there. Alright. So, I'm gonna dump it all on there. Now, these are used coffee grounds, so the concentration of caffeine is not as strong. And we're gonna sit and watch the ants for a few minutes, and then we're going to leave them to their devices for a while and see how they take it. Yep, there you go. You can see a few of them back here, carrying little pieces. Look at them working so hard to try to get their cavern uncovered. I do find ants to be amazing creatures. Just as long as they stay on their side of the fence. We'll be back in just a few hours to see what kind of progress they made. Well, it's been about 30 minutes, And already, look at these guys. Look at these ants working away as hard as they can just to get their colony uncovered. Now, I will say I noticed something different than before I put the coffee grounds on their pile. It seems to me that they're actually moving faster. And not only are they moving faster, they seem to be going in straighter paths. I see one ant in particular run into the pile, grab a chunk of coffee grounds, and run in a straight line away from the pile, drop it off, and run straight back to grab more. If anything, I think the caffeine might have made them stronger, smarter, faster, more focused. We're going to come back here in a couple of hours and see what they've done. We are 3 hours in after our initial placement of the coffee grounds. It seems that if anything, these ants have become way more active. It doesn't seem to have deterred them at all. And again, this is only 3 hours later, and you can see these grounds are already almost gone. And they're just swarming. And look at how, not just how rapidly they're moving, but notice their paths aren't as meandering. They're very straight. All right, it is 5 hours later, and all we have left is to accept or reject our hypothesis, which we're going to go ahead and reject it. Because these guys, well, they're unfazed. If anything, they're invigorated. That also brings us to our conclusion that used coffee grounds do not deter ants. And the final step of the scientific method would be to report our findings, which is what I have done to you, for you, here in this video.